slowing down and speeding up when you're in the pit. So changing speed in the barrel can be quite technical. Starting off with slowing down and stalling. So if you are new to barrels, I would suggest to not do this. Once you slow down, you become a lot more wobbly and unstable. If something hits you, it can throw you off, and it's actually very difficult to get your momentum up again. Slowing down can make things very tricky, but it is a crucial part of barrel riding. So for me on my front side, if I want to slow down, I often do this on takeoff to set the pace for the whole ride. I literally just I make myself strong, and I put my arm in the face of the wave, even up to my elbow, in the face of the wave, that drag. And be sure to make yourself strong, because when you're going quite fast and that sucking lip, if you put your arm into the face, it can actually rip, and people have dislocated their shoulders doing that. So make yourself strong and put your arm in the face of the wave. Remember that when you do this, this becomes a pivoting point. So if you're in the barrel and you're stalling, your board will suddenly start to try go up the face on your forehand. So you have to keep this in mind. When you are stalling, your arm creates a pivot point, and in the back of your mind, you need to think, I need to keep the nose of my board facing slightly more down to counter this pivoting motion. And then again, when you slow down and you get in the barrel, you always need to be able to get going with the pump again. So let's talk about speeding up in the barrel on your front side. Speeding up in the barrel on your forehand is all about unweighting and extending. Starting off with a really small barrel, if you are very tight and small in a small barrel, you're doing subtle movements with your ankles to pump the rail, engaging the rail like this to build up your speed. If you get in a slightly bigger barrel, you're doing more motions with your body, again, still leading with your hands all the time. And if you can, full body pumps using your arms, because there's a lot of weight in your arms, using your arms to generate speed. Full body pumps, up the face, down, up the face, down. It's very, very difficult to do that, but if you look at the top dudes, it looks incredible when they're full body pumping through a big, big barrel. Okay, let's move on to backside stalling, slowing down your speed. So if I'm going backhand on the left and I'm grab rail, to slow down for me, I'm either going to put my bum in the wave or my knee and my bum. The whole thing is going to go into the wave, and it can actually give you quite a nice cushion and stabilizing effect. If you're in a big slow barrel, you can stick your bum and your knee into the barrel. You can open up your shoulders, especially if it's a big barrel. It's quite technical to do that, but at the same time, it's one of the best feelings in barrel riding. And again, when you make contact with the face of the wave with any part of your body, it creates a pivot point. So again, when you are using your bum and your knee, you're sticking that into the face of the wave. That creates a pivot point, and your nose of your board wants to go up the face of the wave. So in the back of your mind, you want to keep your nose slightly down and counter that pivoting action. And again, once you are stalling, if you've stalled, you're probably going to have to generate speed again to keep up with the barrel. Generating speed on your backhand is very, very tricky. If you are grabbing your rail, you're literally doing pumps, and you're using your hand, which is pulling up your rail and making it flat. Pulling up your rail, making it flat. You're doing these subtle pumps, grabbing rail, and you can also slightly move and unweight with your front leading hand. If you are really advanced, you can do backhand no pumps, but this is literally the best barrel riders in the world. Guys like John Florence, and only a handful of guys can do full backhand, no hand pumps in the barrel. It's really, really tricky and disorientating. If you can do that, it's like one of the most insane feelings you can get. You're literally the same as the front side. You're using your arms to unweight and extend and then compress. Unweight and extend and compress to generate your speed. So just talking a little bit about the weight over your board, over your front foot and your back foot. Kind of a more old school approach to stalling is to just plonk your back foot down, lift the nose up and stall. I find that quite difficult because it creates quite an exaggerated stall, and then to build up speed from that can be really tricky. So I prefer to do the hand in the face front side, or backhand the bum and knee in the face. But basically when you're in the barrel, you're always leaning forward. When you lean forward, it's kind of like stepping up the gears and putting on the accelerator. And that's kind of what you always want to have forward momentum in the barrel. So you're always going to be over your front leg, your hands are forward, your body's forward, and you want your momentum to be forward in the barrel, heading towards the exit. Dealing with the foam ball. So most people the foam ball means the end of their ride. They simply, as they see the foam ball, they're like, I'm too deep, and it'll hit them and they'll fly off, and that'll be them done. And I think a lot of people, once they're in the barrel, they're so stoked to be inside the barrel that they're not even thinking of making it. But if you can have a little bit more perseverance in the barrel, make yourself strong, you can make things far beyond what you could ever imagine. And that's when it starts to get really, really exciting. So if you're riding up in the barrel, I'm going to start off on my forehand, and the lip of the wave is reaching far in front of you and you're deep in the pit. So as the lip breaks, it creates water that splashes into the barrel, and it creates turbulent, uneven water. As you approach the foam ball, the key here is to unweight and to slightly lift the nose of the board. It's key to unweight here because the foam ball is a very unpredictable aerated water, and this, if you're not unweighted, it will literally just pull your board under the water. It'll cause you to nosedive and fly off the front. So what you have to do, if you're approaching the foam ball, you unweight with your hands in the air, make yourself light, and then you also want to put a little bit more pressure on your back foot to lift the nose up, so that as you're getting this uneven water, you unweight and you ride over it like that. One of the most common things when you hit the foam ball is for people to nosedive. So you really want to unweight, lift the nose up, and ride over it. And then you can also use your arms, you can put them out a little bit to balance yourself, because it's going to be a little bit unstable. And it's key here to have perseverance to get over this. Make yourself strong and balance over that thing. Normally when you're going over the foam ball, you just be about to reach the exit of the barrel. If you can just, so often, if you can hang on just a little bit longer, then you're going to make it and maybe get the best barrel of your life. So hold on tight when you're going over that foam ball. Okay, let's move on to backside. So going backside over the foam ball is much the same. Again, you're going over that turbulent water, so you need to make yourself light. So backside, again, you're going to try and unweight a little bit. Even though you're grabbing, you're going to try unweight a bit with your arm and have your momentum kind of lifting up off your board. And again, you're going to lift the nose up slightly, because often when you hit that foam ball, it tends to send your board underwater. So you unweight and you pull the nose up a little bit, and again, you're balancing like this. You're trying to stay stable. A really good way to counter that is by going no hands, but again, it's very, very difficult. If you pull into the barrel and you're getting a lot of turbulence, it's quite cool to take your hand off the rail and balance yourself like that. Keep yourself light, keep the nose up, ride and persevere over the foam ball to the exit and get spat out the barrel. I think the most incredible foam ball ride experience I ever had was at Pipeline. It was maybe it was a couple years ago, and I ended up winning the Wave of the Winter for January. I came second to Kelly Slater in the Wave of the Winter overall for the season in Hawaii. And that wave, I remember taking off and leaning forward, and as I looked up, I saw I was really, really deep behind. I was deep behind this big, thick peak in front of me. So I extended my bottom turn out, and I pumped up into it with as much spring as possible. And as I pulled up, the barrel was huge, and I went into it, and I could see, here comes the foam ball. And when the wave breaks really hard, when the lip is thick, it actually creates first a shock wave, which sends a wave into the barrel, and then you get the foam ball. And as I pulled in, the foam ball and the shock wave hit me, and I launched through the air. And I remember thinking, this is the end. And I held on, and then as I landed, the wave started spitting, and I thought I was done. I let go of my rail. I then hit another foam ball, and I disconnected with my board in the air, and I stabilized with my hands, but I was like, I'm 100% done. And I somehow landed back on the board and then rode out of the barrel. And that was one of the most incredible experiences of my life. You can see in the footage, I ride out and I don't know what's just happened. Couldn't believe I made it. But yeah, a little bit of perseverance and holding on, and you can make things you would never think are possible.